What's going on, people? Today I will be reviewing Joker on Blu-ray and 4K. And if you didn't check out my movie review video that I did when Joker was out in theaters, you can check that out right over here. And if you like that video and this one, you can subscribe right down here because I do this all the damn time. And without any other further ado, let's get straight into the video quality, starting off with the Blu-ray. And this looks really good, and it's no real shock. This movie has a very specific style that is very appealing. You have the clarity and the detail of a movie that it was shot digitally, and then on top of that you have the layer of film grain and just the look of the 70s, early 80s style that was injected into this movie, and that makes for a movie that evokes just a very certain mood that this movie accomplishes. Detail is excellent here. You get so much of it, specifically with the backgrounds and the scenery, a lot more with interiors when you're talking about just the couches that they have, or chairs, or rugs, carpets, just overall how things look in the rooms that they are in this film has so much detail to it. And then clarity, you know, this was shot digitally, and it definitely shows in the clarity department. Everything is crisp, clear, and beautiful. On top of that, there is a layer of artificial film grain because this was shot digitally, and that means that the film grain was put in here in post, but it doesn't lend itself to take away from the clarity or the detail. It is perfectly done here, and blacks dip perfectly to black. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. And then when we're talking about the 4K disc here, this is amazing. This was actually given a 4K digital intermediate. And on top of that, we get Dolby Vision support. And this is where it's at, people. This is a great way to start out 2020 with a just so crisp, so clear, so detailed presentation. You can see just the grain of just the paint that is on Phoenix's face in this film. And just all of his facial pores coming out of that face paint. It is so beautiful and so detailed. You can see just spots of dust flying around the room at times. It is that detailed. It is really incredible. And on top of that, the filmic quality here is amplified, which I do love. It does amplify that Martin Scorsese vibe that this movie is definitely going for. Now, when it comes to HDR and Dolby Vision, this is where it's truly going to shine, people. I feel like just the overall emphasis of just the visual style of this film is emphasized so much here, more than in the Blu-ray. You know, you have just the greenish hues that this movie has, and it lends itself to have way more of a punch here, specifically in Dolby Vision. This is a very dark movie, so you're not going to see any bright punches of color, but it is very vivid, very filmy, very lush, and just really oozing off of the screen, and I do love it for that. Black levels dip perfectly to black. This is a reference quality 4K disc, just in everything that you wanted this movie to be and could expect it to be. And then when we're talking about the audio quality here, this was actually given Dolby Atmos support, whether you watch it on Blu-ray or 4K, and that is awesome. Warner Brothers does it a lot, and that is really cool of them. And it's a good one. It's a very good one. So right off the top, speaker separation is very, very present and noticeable here. You can hear when characters walk from one side of the room to the other, and from front to back. It is very wide, very expansive, and the entire soundstage is filled with the score of the film when it is present. And I definitely do really love that. Bass response is, with that score of the film, I feel like it definitely kicks in, and it has a very warm feeling going with the score of this film. There aren't a lot of moments in the film for bass response to really kick up, except at the very end of the film. I won't spoil it, but it definitely does during the second to last scene in the film. Height speaker work is used sparingly, but for atmosphere, and I feel like that is all that you could really expect here. And you know what? Overall, this is a great, great mix. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I was very pleased by it. And as far as digital copies here goes, this is a Movies Anywhere digital copy, which means that you can download this on Vudu or on iTunes and get the 4K version there. And as far as special features goes, all of them are on the Blu-ray disc. None of them are on the 4K disc, and you basically get 3 featurettes that are very limited. One that talks to Phoenix for a little bit about his character. One that goes into making of the film that is very short. It's about 15 minutes long. And then a few others that aren't even worth noting. I feel like this is kind of lacking. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. And as far as my last looks here goes, this is a movie that is really relevant for the times, even though it really takes place in the 80s and has a very early 80s, late 70s vibe to it. I definitely feel like this is a movie that really hit home with a lot of people, and I just feel like it is a seminal movie for this particular time, and I really did enjoy it. Phoenix's acting here is the best that he's ever been. He deserves to be nominated for it, even though the character of the Joker has already been nominated. This really stands on its own, and I really did like it. And if you didn't watch my movie review for Joker, I gave it a 9 out of 10. And when you add up all my scores for Joker on Blu-ray, you come out to a 31 out of 40, and on 4K you come out to a 32 out of 40. That score would have been higher if they would have just put more special features here, but unfortunately they didn't. And the differences between the two is that the 4K version is just that extra bump up that you really want for this movie, and I feel like it really adds to the film as well. And as always, thank you for watching my videos. You guys are awesome. I don't even say it because you know it. And I will see all of you next time.